We got a chance to speak to some of the people behind Apple TV Plus's Monarch Legacy of Monsters. Here now is our conversation with Sean Konrad, VFX Supervisor on the show. Check it out. Hey, Monarch is an absolute blast. And I was curious, and I think a lot of people are often curious. I mean, you've worked on some fantastic feature projects. What are the biggest differences, or are there any differences anymore when you're working between film and I guess what we call premium television?
Yeah, there definitely are differences. There's a lot of the goal with the show is to make it as cinematic as possible. And so a lot of the approaches that you do in terms of who you get to do the work and what the timelines look like are pretty similar. The difference with like an episodic is, you're not, you might have like the best visual effects budget ever, but you're still servicing 8.5 hours or 9 hours of TV versus 2 hours of a film, right? So how you pace that is like important, but it's not just the pacing. It's like, you know, you have to spread that work out a lot because you're not just working with, 5 set pieces or 10 set pieces in a movie that you might get in a movie, but you're working with, 20, 30, right, across an entire season, and you're working on scenes with different creatures and monsters, and you almost have to do like a little board with like string connecting things to be like, okay, this monster needs to be in this scene with this monster, and so this vendor needs to do it because they have this, because they
Right.
have that asset, and in that environment and things like that. And so like Godzilla versus Kong had 5, 6 vendors on it. We had 15 across the planet working on it, and like over 1,000 people creatively contributing to the whole thing. It's a huge endeavor.
And I think that's what a lot of people miss, in that they assume that the level of complexity on a film is a lot more
Yeah.
than the level of complexity on a TV show. And I'm assuming just because of where we are at with television right now, that complexity has gone up as well. I'm curious about which comes first in the VFX design process, because you get these scripts, and I'm watching Monarch, and these guys are jumping all over the world and globetrotting. Do you know what the look of a monster is going to be at a specific place? And does that change?
Yeah, of course. The design process is the best part of the job, and also the most difficult tear your hair out part of the job, because it's like
Right.
sometimes the writers will have a really clear idea of what they want, but like sometimes it'll be like we have a situation and we need a monster for a situation. And then what is the context of what that monster could be? Do you want it to feel like it fits into the natural environment? In the case of like the crab that comes out in the episode 1, we had a different version of that scene in mind when we were planning, and then we found this location and decided to pivot, to this location, and then pivoted the monster to make it feel like it was this flora fauna thing that fit into the landscape, and then design an entire new action sequence around that. Or it might be something you want it to feel like it's out of place, like the creature that comes out of the ship. We didn't want it to feel like it's a big jungly monster. We wanted it to be like, why is this here? And that
Right.
mystery becomes part of the dialogue, right? And so that challenge is really sort of baked into the series. And like sometimes like in the later some of the later episodes in 3 and 4, you have this mole ice creature that I love. And that was one where like we had a really firm idea of what we wanted right from the get-go. We do the previs, and we're like, some stuff's not working, but it's going to get better. And then you do the post-viz where you've shot everything and you put it in the background in a really rough state before you turn it over, so you don't waste time on things. And we all kind of looked at it and like, this isn't working, you know and so, and then you go like, okay, how do you make it better? How do you make it scarier? How do you make it fit the action? And then you talk to creative people at the companies that you're working with. Framestore did that creature, and the team there were like, okay, well, we need to make this more aggressive. We need to constantly make it aggressive and constantly make it scary. And they added all this like big scary teeth, and then we made it darker colors, and we made his claws longer, and just like all of these things to really help sell the fear and the design. And so like it's a really complicated process, but again, tear your hair out sometimes.
No, that's very cool, because you build character into it, which makes it cooler and scarier, and then
Yeah.
just makes it work. I'm all out of time, Sean, but that was an absolute pleasure talking to you. And congratulations. Like, I didn't know what I was going to get walking into this. And 5 minutes in, when the crafting comes up, I'm just like, yes, they are not fucking about. They've given me monsters.
Yeah, thanks, man. I'm really glad people are responding to it so well. Glad you love it. You'll love even more.
Monarch Legacy of Monsters premieres on Apple TV Plus Friday, November 17th. Check it out. Let us know what you think. Sound off in the comments. And thank you so much for watching.